Chapter 1, Work. Chadwick sat on the large black horse that he had received on his 17th birthday. He was now 21 and a strong young man. It had been 9 years since he had helped free the slaves from the mountain barbarians. In just 9 short years, the kingdom had grown into a small yet bustling city. The population was still rather small, but many new children had been born, increasing the number of people in the kingdom. It was still not as great as it had once been, but many people believed that it would once again be great. Someday. The people of the kingdom had lived in peace for the most part, and life was slow but good. A few nomads even joined the kingdom, but most stayed away. The mountain barbarians were nowhere to be found. Since the war, very few citizens had even dared to venture back into the northern mountains. There was even a law passed in the kingdom of Cloten stating that anyone caught staring in the direction of the mountains would have to spend 1 night in the dungeon. The biggest thing that had happened since the homecoming had been the death of King Milt. Milt's advisor, Anthony, had become the new king when Milt had died. Anthony seemed like a good king outwardly, but he had a militant side that he tried hard to hide from the people. King Anthony worried about more attacks from the barbarians and nomads. Chadwick sat on his horse and gazed out to the west. The sun was setting, and the sky was the color of crimson. His horse whinnied and began to trot forward, nervously. Chadwick placed a hand firmly on the horse's neck and whispered, "Whoa, there, Nell. Calm yourself, girl." Chadwick had chosen the name after his mother, a woman he had never known. Hans had known her well and would often tell Chadwick stories about her. Chadwick softly rubbed the horse's neck, and it snorted. Other than Tucker and Hans, his horse Nell had been his only other friend. Nell was almost like a sister to him. Chadwick reached into the leather pouch that hung at his waist and removed a handful of grain. "How about a snack, girl?" he asked. He held out a handful of grain to Nell. She quickly ate it up. He was about to grab a second handful for Nell when suddenly he heard a familiar voice calling his name. "Chadwick," called the voice. It was his old friend Hans. "Come on, girl," Chadwick commanded his horse. She began trotting towards Hans, who stood a few feet away. As the horse neared Hans, Chadwick pulled her to a stop. "Whoa there, girl," he said in a loud voice. Nell stopped and snorted. Hans held a lantern and wore a brown wool tunic. "Hans, old friend," said Chadwick, smiling. "I haven't seen you in nearly a month. When did you return?" "This morning, lad," said Hans. "Me and the others." Chadwick nodded. "Did you find any remaining slaves?" he asked. "I'm afraid not," said Hans sadly, "only bones and rocks. It's a wasteland up there. I'm glad to be back."